Aware that each moment was precious, White Otter rode through the night at a desperate pace. Behind him thundered the great war party of Sioux and Cheyennes. Beside him rode Red Dog, the Cheyenne chief, and Black Moccasin, the famous Ogallala scout. Convinced that they would see nothing of the Pawnees until they finally came up with them, White Otter saw little need for caution. He believed that the Pawnees had stopped for the night, to rest the ponies, and he was eager to cover as much distance as possible before daylight. The Ogallalas were enthusiastic at the idea of an encounter with their old-time enemies, the Pawnees. They knew from experience that the hated Wolf people were brave and stubborn fighters, but they felt confident of victory. They followed gaily after their leader, talking and laughing and chanting their war songs. Behind him came the Cheyennes. Their gloom had vanished. Their confidence was restored. The warriors who had returned with the Ogallalas had greatly strengthened their numbers, and with the formidable Dakotas for allies they believed that success was assured. "Pretty soon it will be light," said White Otter. "Then we will send scouts to find the tracks of the ponies. We will follow them until we come up with the Pawnees. While the foolish Pawnees are sleeping, we are rushing closer," laughed Red Dog. "Perhaps they kept going ahead," said Black Moccasin. "Perhaps they were afraid someone would follow them." "No, I do not believe it," declared Red Dog. "They saw that we were not strong enough to fight them. They do not expect anyone to follow them. They cannot keep running those ponies," White Otter told them. "They must stop to rest." At dawn White Otter became more cautious. He stopped the war party and made known his plans. "The light has come. We must look for the Pawnees," he said. "I am going to send out some scouts to find the tracks of those ponies. I will send Sunbird, and Little Raven, and High Eagle. Now, Red Dog, you must send 3 of your people with my brothers." "It is good," said Red Dog. "I will send Running Crow, and Painted Weasel and Standing Bull. Now, my brothers, I will tell you what to do," said White Otter. "I will ask Sunbird and Little Raven to go ahead. I will ask the rest of you to ride out on both sides of us. Look hard until you find the tracks of those ponies. I believe they are close by. If you find them, make the signal. We will keep watching. If we find those tracks, we will make the signal. Perhaps scouts are watching on the high places. Look out for them." The 6 scouts went away. Then the war party rode ahead. Eager to prevent the Pawnees from increasing their lead, they rode at a stiff pace. It was not long before they saw Standing Bull riding rapidly in a circle, some distance to the westward. "It is good," said White Otter. "Standing Bull has found the tracks. We will go over there." Standing Bull and Painted Weasel had found the trail of the Pawnees. A close examination of the tracks convinced White Otter that the Pawnees were traveling at a moderate pace. "They made those tracks before the last sun went away," he said. "It is true," agreed Black Moccasin. "Call the scouts," said White Otter. "Then we will go ahead and find out where the Pawnees stopped." They saw one of the scouts approaching from the east. The fact that he was alone made him suspicious. They believed that his companion had remained to watch something. As the rider came nearer they saw that it was High Eagle, the Ogallala. "We saw some people far away toward the place where the day begins," said High Eagle. 3 were on ponies. They rode ahead. 4 were on foot. "Which way are they going?" inquired White Otter. "They are going straight ahead the same way we are going," High Eagle told him. "They are far away. Running Crow is watching them. I believe those people are Kiowas, said White Otter. We chased them far away. Now they are going back to their village. We will not think about them. Yes, yes, it must be the Kiowas, laughed Red Dog. Hi Eagle, we have found the tracks of the Pawnees, said White Otter. We are going to follow them. Go back there and bring Running Crow. When they learned that the scouts had discovered a small company of Kiowas, some of the Cheyennes were eager to ride away in pursuit of them. White Otter immediately objected. He realized that the maneuver would cause delay and confusion, and might betray them to the Pawnees. No, you must not go over there, he said. You must keep going ahead to catch the Pawnees. If you hold back, they will get to their village. Then it will be hard to run off the ponies. I am the leader. You must do as I tell you. Red Dog repeated the message to the Cheyennes, and they dismissed the Kiowas from their thoughts. They knew that White Otter and his warriors were risking their lives to help them, and they were eager to obey his commands. Then they saw High Eagle and Running Crow riding to join them. Sunbird and Little Raven, however, had failed to appear. White Otter felt little fear for their safety. He believed that they were scouting carefully in advance of the war party, in an effort to locate the Pawnees. Pretty soon they will come, he told Red Dog. A few moments afterward they rode over a low ridge, and saw the two Minniconjou scouts. They were waiting at a grove of cottonwoods. The war party raced forward to join them. Here is the place where the Pawnees stopped, said Sunbird, as White Otter approached. Yes, I see where the ponies were feeding, replied White Otter. He believed that the Pawnees had remained at the spot until daylight. In that event he realized that they could not be very far ahead of him. He hoped to come in sight of them before the end of the day. We must go on, said White Otter. They galloped away on the trail. It led directly toward the south. As they advanced, the plain became rough and broken, and there were many low knolls and ridges. White Otter realized that it offered splendid protection to hostile scouts, and he became more cautious. Come, Sunbird, ride ahead and keep watching the high places, he said. I will ask Little Raven to go with you. Follow the tracks of the ponies. We will ride behind you. The Minniconjou galloped away. The war party rode easily until the scouts were a long way ahead. Then they again raced their ponies at high speed in the hope of soon overtaking the Pawnees. As the day advanced and they failed to see anything of their foes, some of the warriors feared that they would be unable to overtake them before they reached the Great Pawnee camp. The thought discouraged them. White Otter, however, was still hopeful of coming up with them. He felt sure that he was steadily gaining upon them, and he expected to see them before the end of the day. Red Dog, too, was confident that they would come in contact with the Pawnees before nightfall. Hi! Hi! I believe our brothers have found them. Black Moccasin cried, excitedly. The Minniconjou were riding in a circle on the top of a low hill. The war party rode toward them with high hopes. What has happened? White Otter inquired, anxiously. We saw two riders over there, on that next hill, said Sunbird. They went away very fast. I believe they were Pawnee scouts. Did they see you? Asked White Otter. Yes, replied Sunbird. They must have been peeping over that high place. We looked sharp, but we could not see them. When we went up that hill we saw them riding away. They kept looking back. Then we rode here to call you. It is bad, said Red Dog. They will tell their people about us. Now it will be hard to catch them. Well, my brothers, there is no use of talking about it, declared White Otter. There is only one thing to do. We must rush ahead and try to catch the Pawnees before they get away. Yes, that is the only thing to do, said Black Moccasin. They raced ahead at top speed. They had gone only a short distance when they saw a small company of horsemen sweep into view over a nearby rise of the plain. They stopped at sight of the war party. Then they turned and raced toward the south. They appeared to have been thrown into a panic. White Otter and his warriors rode after them with the fierce eagerness of wolves in sight of game. Those warriors came to find us, but they found something different, laughed Little Raven. Their people must be close by, declared White Otter. The Pawnees had disappeared behind the ridge. When the war party reached it, they saw them still riding furiously toward the south. They had lost considerable ground, however, and White Otter felt encouraged. We will come up with them, he told his companions. Yes, yes, we are closing in, said Red Dog. They heard the scouts whooping fiercely, and they believed that they were attempting to warn their tribesmen. Then they discovered a great smother of dust rising in the distance. They realized that they had come in sight of the Pawnees. Come, come, ride faster, cried White Otter. They forced the ponies into a terrific pace. They were steadily gaining upon the 4 scouts. The latter were making frantic efforts to escape. Pretty soon we will catch those riders, White Otter declared grimly. At that moment, however, the Pawnee scouts turned toward the east. White Otter instantly detected the clever ruse. Do not follow them, he cried. They are trying to lead us off. Keep after the ponies. Then they swept over a rise of the plain, and saw the Pawnees and the ponies directly ahead of them. They were a long distance away, however, and were riding desperately. They appeared to have the great herd of ponies under complete control, and White Otter realized that the chase threatened to be a long one. They are far ahead of us, he said, soberly. Having actually sighted the Pawnees, the war party was determined to overtake them. Forcing the ponies to a killing pace, they began to gain upon their foes. Stride by stride they overcame the lead of the Pawnees until the latter were barely 2 arrow flights away. Then the Pawnees lashed the ponies into a furious sprint, and held off their pursuers. The wild race across the plain became a test of endurance between the rival ponies. Both companies of riders knew that the gallant little beasts must eventually collapse, but each hoped that their foes would be the first to weaken. The ponies appeared to be well matched, however, and the exhausting chase continued. The Pawnees were approaching a long, straggling line of trees that reached far across the plain. White Otter knew that the timber marked the course of a stream. He rode wildly to overtake his foes before they reached it. Once they crossed the water, he realized that it would be difficult to reach them, and still more difficult to secure the ponies. His efforts were useless, however, for the Pawnees held their lead. They were still safely beyond arrow range when they finally forced their gasping ponies across the stream, and came to a stand in the timber along the bank. White Otter pulled up the sweating piebald. The long pursuit had come to an end. The Pawnees had placed a formidable barrier between them and their foes. For the moment, at least, they were safe from attack. Now I know why they did not stop to fight, White Otter said, bitterly. They were trying to get to that place. Now they are there. It is bad. Well, we made 'em stop, declared Red Dog. Yes. We kept them from getting to their camp, said Black Moccasin. Now we are close. They cannot get away. Pretty soon we will go over there and run off the ponies. My brother, that will be a hard thing to do, White Otter told him.